you are tired. I know some of you are thinking maybe I need a break. But this is one week that you can't get a break. Because this week will decide the future of this country that we love. And look, I don't have to tell you, Ohio's always a battleground state. I was here so many days during my final days of both my campaigns. That I would have like pockets full of Buckeyes at the end of the day. I mean, I was just parked here, and you delivered for me. And I told you, remember what I told you at the time. I said, look, my slogan's not yes I can, my slogan's yes we can. I told you back then that I told you I wasn't a perfect man, and I wouldn't be a perfect president, but I told you I would work as hard as I could every single day to make sure that your lives were a little bit better. And I've kept that promise. I've kept that promise because I remember the conversations we had with auto workers who've been laid off, with folks who didn't have health care, with young people who are trying to figure out how to afford college. And over the course of these 8 years, we have battled back from what was almost a Great Depression. So that now incomes are rising again, and poverty is falling again, and businesses have turned job losses into 15 million new jobs. And 20 million people have health care that didn't have it before. Producing the best cars in the world. The uninsured rate has gone down. We're covering more than 90% of Americans for the first time in history. We've kicked our addiction to foreign oil, sparked a clean energy revolution. America is a leader in fighting against climate change. We've doubled our production of clean energy. We've brought back our outstanding men and women in uniform from Afghanistan and Iraq, and we pursued Osama bin Laden until he met justice. We've seen a country that reinvigorated the cause of civil rights. We have become a country where a freedom that was limited to just a few is now a right guaranteed to everybody, the freedom to marry who you love. And, you know, all of this happened because of you. I mean, I was your front man, but you were the band. And all across the country I've seen what has always made America great is its people. People working hard. People starting their own businesses. Teachers reaching into their own pockets to make sure their kids had school supplies. I've seen doctors serve the poor. I've seen our men and women in uniform. Our brave police officers and first responders running towards danger to keep us safe. I've seen the patriotism of young activists speaking out for what's right even when it's uncomfortable. Part of a young generation calling us to live up to our highest ideals. I have seen Americans of every faith and every party who know that we're stronger together. Young and old, men and women, black, white, Latino, Asian, Native American, people with disabilities, all pledging allegiance to the Red, White, and Blue. Who has devoted her life to a better America? And that's the next president of the United States, Hillary Clinton. something you can take for granted. All the progress we've made goes out the window if we don't do our jobs in these next 7 days. Our future depends on what you do these next 7 days. And at the end of the campaign, I know there are all sorts of negative ads, and there's noise, and there's distractions, but I want you to tune all that out. I want you to focus on the choice that you face in this election. Donald Trump. Don't boo! Vote! Don't boo! Vote! Booing doesn't help. Voting helps. Donald Trump is uniquely unqualified to be president. He is temperamentally unfit to be commander-in-chief. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of a lot of the Republicans who were saying this before they decided politically that it was convenient to support him. And then some of them decided politically it was inconvenient to support him again. And they keep on doing backflips. But think about what they said at the outset. That he was a con man. That he didn't have the temperament to do the job. That he didn't have the knowledge to do the job. Didn't have the experience to do the job. Somebody who claims to be a great businessman, but who repeatedly stiffs small businesses and workers out of what he owes. And let me say this, because I was talking to some folks here on the way over, and I said to them, if you're a working person, if you are out there every day working hard, punching the clock, the notion that this guy is your champion, the notion that this guy's going to fight for working people, when in his entire life he did not have time for anybody who wasn't rich or a celebrity, who wouldn't let you into one of his hotels unless you were cleaning the room, wouldn't let you onto one of his golf courses unless you were mowing the fairway. Come on, this guy is going to be your champion? Come on. You know, because there are a lot of working folks in Ohio, proud people, you know, who make an honest living. And I hear them say, well, I don't know, Trump, maybe, you know, maybe not so bad. Come on. This guy, I mean, it'd be one thing if you were thinking about voting for somebody who had been in the trenches, who knew what it was like, maybe not have enough money at the end of the month, who maybe had seen their parents working in a coal mine and on an assembly line, knew what it was like to not be able to afford college, and done his best. You know, maybe you think about some of the stuff he's saying. But this guy, don't be bamboozled. Don't let it, don't. Come on. That guy had never worn a baseball hat or a seed hat until he started selling them to make some money. Come on. Yeah, come on. Take that off. Don't go. Whoa. All right, I would also check to see where that was made, because I bet it's made in China. Any tax returns whatsoever. Now maybe this because he's not as rich as he says he is. But maybe it's because he admits he hasn't paid his federal income taxes in years. which he says makes him smart, but actually what it means is after this country has given everything to you, you're not going to give a single dime back to our troops or our veterans, or building roads, or building bridges, or to our universities, so the young people can get educated. Come on. Says he'll be his own foreign policy advisor because he says he's got a good brain. Who talks like that? We can't afford a president whose brain has suggested that we should torture people again, or ban entire religions from our country, who insult others, or attacks those from others, or talks down to our troops and our veterans. Even a Republican senator said we can't afford to give the nuclear codes to somebody so erratic. I think Hillary made a pretty good point. A man you can bait with a tweet is not somebody you want to trust with nuclear weapons. So I want to, in particular, talk to working people out there who are thinking about, voting for this guy. Somebody who spent 70 years on this earth, showing no regard for working people, open disdain, not just for immigrants, or Muslims, but Americans with disabilities. And we know what he said about women. This is the guy that you want to be representing the entire country all around the world. And by the way, this is not just one tape where he's bragging about how being famous allows him to get away with actions that qualify as sexual assault. This is a lifetime of calling women pigs and dogs and slobs and grading women on a 10-point scale. But part of what I'm concerned about is we start acting like this is normal. And I hear people saying, well, this is just locker room talk. I've been in a lot of locker rooms. And I'll admit, you wouldn't want to publish everything said in the locker room. But that wasn't said. This is habitual. And it is a part of who he is. And when I hear people justifying it, or making excuses, or saying, well, I don't like that part of what he says, but I support his policies. And when I hear Republican officials saying, as long as he's willing to pass our budget and our tax cuts, then we're supporting him. Let me tell you something about this office. Who you are, what you are, does not change once you occupy the Oval Office. The only thing this office does is it amplifies who you are. It magnifies who you are. It shows who you are. If you disrespected women before you were elected, you will disrespect women once you're president. If you tolerate supporters who are Klan sympathizers before you're elected, then you'll receive their support once you're in office. If you disrespect the Constitution by threatening to shut down the press when it doesn't say things you like, or threatening to throw your opponent in jail, or discriminating against people of different faiths, if you do that before you are elected, then what are you going to do when you have actual power to do those things? So don't act like this is normal. This is not your typical election. Look, we all have Republican friends. This guy with the hat actually looks like a nice guy. He's got a nice smile on his face. We all know Republican friends, family members who don't act or think the way Trump does. But the problem is that things have become so polarized that people start talking themselves into saying, well, maybe it's not so bad. But it is. It really is. It really is. This is not somebody you want your kids saying, is the President of the United States? Because our kids will learn from it. And you don't want somebody who really doesn't know what they're doing or show any curiosity about knowing what they're doing to hold this job. So, but the good news is all of you are uniquely qualified to make sure he doesn't get that chance. All you got to do is vote. And these are not equal candidates. There's only one who's actually worthy of your vote. Who is smart, who is steady, who is tested, whose heart is in the right place, who is probably the most qualified person ever to run for this office, and that is Hillary Clinton. Dedicated their life to making this country a stronger, better place. Works hard every single day. I love you back, but I want to talk about Hillary for a second. I saw her as my Secretary of State. I saw her in the Situation Room, making arguments to go after Bin Laden, even though it was risky. Tirelessly circling the globe as Secretary of State, respected around the world. Her efforts are not always flashy, and they're not always appreciated here at home. But she made me a better president, and she didn't ask for credit. And when she was challenged, she doesn't make things up on the spot. She doesn't double down on lies that obviously are lies because there's video. She actually understands the world. She understands the challenges we face. And when things don't go her way, she doesn't whine or complain or blame others or say everything's rigged. She doesn't say the polls are great when the polls are in her favor.